Okay, now that our pocket is ready to go, we're ready to close that hole with a slip stitch. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to send it in to the hole and I'm going to send it underneath that seam allowance, just right close to where my opening starts. And I want the needle to come up right at the fold of the fabric. So not really on the inside, not really on the outside, just right at the top of that fold. And I'm going to pull it through, and that's going to nestle my knot and my tail inside my pocket so that it's not seen later. So to create my slip stitch, I'm going to come basically back and forth from side to side in each of the folds. So I'm going to come directly across from where my thread is coming out on that top fold. I'm going to go into my bottom fold, or the fold that's closer to me as I'm holding the fabric. And I'm going to catch a stitch, but I want my needle to be running through that fold. I don't want to see my needle on the inside of my pocket, and I don't want to see it on the outside. I want it to be right in that fold. And I'm going to pull it through. And that should bring the two sides of my opening together nice and tight. And if I've gone into my fold directly opposite to where I came out on the other fold, then my stitch should be very small, pretty close to invisible. If I were working with a matching thread, you probably wouldn't be able to see it at all. So now my thread is coming out of the fold on my bottom layer, the layer closest to me. So I'm going to go to my top fold, or the layer further from me, and I'm going to go into that fold, and I'm going to take just a tiny 1/4 inch or so stitch right along that fold so that the needle's traveling on the inside of the fold. And I'm going to pull it tight. So that's going to be my pattern. I'm going to just go from one fold to the other fold, back and forth. And I always want my needle to go in to the fold just as close to directly across from where it came out on the other side, so that it is as invisible as it can be. Sometimes your thread likes to try and tangle. Sometimes you'll hear this stitch called a ladder stitch, because as you go back and forth, before it is, if it's not pulled fully tight, it creates kind of a ladder as the stitches go across. So ladder stitch, slip stitch, both are acceptable terms, but we're just going to work our way across, going from one fold to the other, always making sure that our needle is moving through the fold. If you see as you go through, if you can see your needle on the outside, then you're going to be able to see your thread on the outside. So I'm going to want to backtrack and come through a little bit more gently so that I am on the inside of that folded crease. It takes a little bit of practice to get the needle inside the fold instead of coming out either side, but that's okay. If you just check for your needle each time, and if you can see your needle on the outside, then don't pull it through, and try again. Okay, so as I come to the end of my opening and my pocket is nicely closed, I'm going to bring my needle and just take a tiny stitch from my fabric, and that's going to create a loop for me. Mine's trying to tangle a bit. But before I let that loop close, I'm going to send my needle through the loop, and then I'm going to pull it tight. And that's going to create a knot. Then I'm going to go through and just take my needle right around that stitch one more time. It's going to create a loop. I'm going to take my needle through the loop, and that'll give me a nice double knot. Then I'm going to send my needle just down in between the layers of my fabric, and then bring it up an inch or so away through the fabric towards me. And then as I pull that thread through, then my tail and my little knot will be nicely nestled inside of my pocket so that it's not visible. And then I can clip off just right close to the fabric, and I have a finished slip stitch sample with both of my tails at the beginning and end nicely hidden inside, and my stitches very close to invisible, even in a contrasting thread.